What is going on, YouTube? This is Primitive here. Today I'm going to bring you my Cerberusmon OTK list. This list is super fun. It's not something that you'll see in a big competitive tournament, but it is something that can catch a lot of people off guard. It does have some matchups where it does pretty well, and it doesn't have too many matchups where it's really bad. It's just one of those decks where on turn one you put your opponent on a clock, and it's either the clock runs out and you win, or they're able to stop the clock and they win. But this deck is super fun, and if your opponent hasn't seen it before, they'll probably enjoy it too, because it's such an interesting concept with some cards that don't get used as often. But with that being said, let's get into the deck list, and then we will talk about the combo as we go through the deck. So to start off our eggs, we got 2 Bukamon and 3 Upamon. You want Upamon because you want to cycle a lot in this deck, and you're going to be getting rid of a lot of Digivolution cards in this deck. That's also why we run Bukamon. And these eggs are really good. I wouldn't change the ratio too much. I think 3 and 2 is fine. You kind of want both of them, but you probably want Upamon more than Bukamon, so 3 and 2 makes sense. And I get to use my little pre-release Bukamon, so that's always good. Now getting into level 3s, we're going to have 4 of the Draw Vmon. This one's really good. It works really well with the Cerberusmon that we're going to use as the main combo engine and give you multiple draws. Or, well, it gets once per turn, but you're most likely going to be able to attack with it multiple turns to get the draws. And we also have XBeam in the list, which can activate this. And so therefore, this Vmon's really good. This is probably one of the few lists where this Vmon's better than the jamming Vmon. Then we're going to have 4 Gomon. This is our 2-drop. It's just vanilla. I like this 2-drop because Gomon's building a sandcastle. Then we got 3 Gabumon. This one is trashing more stuff off the bottom of your opponent's stack, which is going to be great for some of the cards later. 3 Draw Gabumon. This card's really good. I like 3 of this over 4 in most decks. I feel like it's a really good 3 of. I guess you could play 4 in some decks, but I really like 3 in this deck. So we're playing 3. It's too good of a card to not play in a deck that you're trying to cycle. And speaking of cycling, we're also playing 2 Wormmon. Having some green cards is important later for cards like Davis, for example. And Wormmon's really good. It helps you search through your deck, and you get to pick what you get, so you can curate your hand a little bit. So 2 Wormmon's really good, and having some green 3-drops is going to help us a lot later. Getting into the 4-drops, we're going to have 4 Gorillamon. This card's pretty standard. You're not really going to be attacking with this card. It's mostly just to cycle up into Cerberusmon as well as get the draw cycle. So you're going to play Gorillamon just because it's pretty staple. You don't have to really say too much about that. Next, we're going to have 4 Vegemon Zero. This card's really good because if you get this under Cerberusmon, you can go ahead and bring cards back from your discard into your deck. And so you don't have to worry about decking out with this deck. May be a problem some games just because you draw so much, but with Vegemon it's not an issue, and you get to cycle off of it. So Vegemon just is really good in this deck, and it makes perfect sense with the game plan. Next up, we got 2 Ikakumon. Ikakumon's good because you're going to be trashing Digivolution cards, so if you Digivolve Cerberusmon over this, it's going to make it unblockable. And as you see later, we're also going to give it jamming, so having it be unblockable and give it jamming is really good. You could play 3 of this Ikakumon if you want. If you're going to play 3, you would want to cut our 1 XVmon. Play 1 XVmon in here. I think it's really good. It works well with the Vmon that we saw earlier, but also sometimes you just swing over one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you can Digivolve into this and untap and be safe. But it's one of those cards where I was playing 1 of because I really liked it at 2, but it wasn't as good, so I cut it down to 1. And I like it enough to keep it as 1, but this slot can be the 30 Ikakumon. It's really just how you feel about it, but that 1 XVmon has been pretty good in most matchups, and I never really felt like cutting it down to 0, but I wouldn't really play it at more than 1. And to top off the level 4s, we got 2 Lobomon. This card's just insane. I mean, we have 3 Davis. This card's going to swing a lot. As you're going to see, there's a lot of scenarios where we're going to be able to take 5 security in 1 turn. So if you can end it with like Hammerspark, Lobomon, swing, it's super good. This card's just one of the best blue cards that got printed in BT4 in my opinion. It's so versatile. And since we're playing 3 Davis, if you get multiple out, there's no reason to keep them, so you can just put them into Digimon, get more presence on the board, and threaten for a direct swing after you get rid of your opponent's security. So now getting into the main pieces of the combo, we have 4 of the blue Cerberusmon and 3 of the Cerberusmon werewolf mode. So this is where the combo and the OTK comes in. What you're going to do is you're going to cycle a lot with the deck. As you've seen, we have a lot of cards that draw and have draw 1 activations. So Cerberusmon has twice per turn. You can unsuspend it by discarding 3 cards from your hand. So what you're going to see later is we have V Nova Blast. V Nova Blast is going to go ahead and give this jamming. And if you put it over the Ikakumon, you have a chance for it to also be unblockable. But what you're going to do is you're going to give this jamming. You're going to swing, discard 3 to unsuspend, swing, discard 3 to unsuspend, and then swing and get 3 security. And then you're going to go ahead and delete it with this Cerberusmon werewolf mold to play this for free and get rush, swing for a 4th security, and then delete this Cerberusmon with this one to get a 5th. Now, if you can get all 3, you can swing all 3, but what's going to happen most of the time is you're going to swing 4 or 5 security, get them down to 0, and then you're either going to attack with another Digimon that's on the board, or you're going to lobomon and swing for game. But most of the time with this, you're cycling because you want to get at least 2 of these in hand, and then you want to get your Cerberusmon with your V Nova Blast. This ratio, I think, is good. You want to hit this. You want to play this at 4 because you want to hit this as soon as possible. And you want to hit 2 of these, but there's a lot of times where hitting 4 of them is kind of really weird in some matchups. So I think 3 is really good. But we do have 1 level 5 slot that can be that 4th Cerberusmon werewolf mode if you want, which is 1 Ikakumon. Since you are deleting a lot of your opponent's stack, this card just gives you time in a lot of matchups. It's just a tech card. It comes in handy a lot because there's a lot of people who are just hard playing stuff, and then if you're getting rid of your opponent's Digitama and stuff like that, they're going to end up with no Digivolutions underneath them, so you can just prevent them from being able to swing with you and just kind of stall the game. And so this card's really good as a one of, and I also think it's funny because since it's a yellow card, there are technically 4 colors in this deck. And then to end off the Digimon, we're playing 2 Puppetmon. This is another green Digimon that you can get off of Davis and the spell card that we have later. And yeah, Puppetmon's just really good. If your opponent tries to overextend, you can go ahead and play this, stick them out for a turn, which gives you more time to hit your combo. So yeah, 2 Puppetmon's good. I wouldn't run any more. It's not one of those cards where you want to be seeing... You don't want to Puppetmon your opponent like 3 turns in a row with this deck. You want to just play it to stall. Maybe you play 2 in a row and it puts them in a bad position, but for the most part, it's just a stall when you need to get to your combo and you don't have many more defensive tools. Then we have 3 Davis, as we were talking about previously. Davis is just a great tamer. It's going to search for a green or a blue or both. And yeah, so we play the 2 Puppetmon and the 2 Wormmon. So we do have some green to search from here, and there's some very powerful green cards. But yeah, having a memory tamer is super important. And being able to search and draw is just really good. And especially since you can +1 off of this if you get 2. And yeah, so it's going to increase your hand size more, which is better for Cerberusmon's discard effect. Next up, we're playing 4 Hammerspark. There's not much to say here. It's Hammerspark. There's just a lot of times where if you're getting choked on memory, you want to be able to Hammerspark, go up to 2, play Lobo, for example, or it's just Hammerspark. If you're going to get mana, it's going to give you, or memory, it's going to give you a lot more options to play around. It may be a dead card sometimes if you don't have options to play, but this deck cycles so much that you almost always have options to play. So this is just a security to make sure you can play the cards that you need to play each turn. And if you're getting memory choked and you're not finding Davis yet, you can go ahead and still make the plays that you need to by playing 1 or 2 Hammerspark to stay in the game. Next up, let's go ahead and show the 3 V Nova Blast. This is the next main piece of the combo with the other 2 Cerberusmon, is giving Cerberusmon jamming so it can almost safely swing into security. They can still delete it with things like Gaia Force or bounce it back to your hand with Cositus Breath. But with V Nova Blast, you're going to be able to get jamming, you're going to be able to swing 3 security, and it's going to be very key. I think 3 gives it the perfect consistency. I don't think you need 4 because you only really need to play 1 of these a game, but you want to play 3 so that way you can have as high of a chance as you can to see it when you need it and not have, if you were just playing 2 and have them both buried at the bottom, for example. So 3 is perfect. I think 4 is a little too much, but it would up the consistency. But it's a card that you're only really playing once, maybe twice a game. And then last thing we have is a Poisotron Laser. This is the spell which requires us a green to play, but it's so powerful. It's one of those cards that just does so much. I was playing 2, but I did cut 1 to put in a 4th Hammer Spark because I was playing 3 Hammer Sparks. But now we have 4 Poisotron or 1 Poisotron Laser, and this card's just so good that I didn't want to cut all of them. It really saves you in some scenarios, especially when you go Puppetmon into Poisotron Laser. You can stall a lot, and this gives you a lot of opportunity without playing a second Puppetmon. Alright, sorry about that cut. Alright, sorry about that little cut right there. My dogs were going crazy, so I went to go check on them really quick. But that is the deck. This deck is amazing. It's not the best. When I say amazing, I mean it's extremely fun to play. It's one of those decks where if you're just playing some friendly games, you don't want to play some super meta stuff, or you're just trying to have just chill out. Playing some Cerberus OTK, winning some games by just playing a bunch of Cerberusmon and swinging in is very satisfying. It's very fun. So I hope you enjoy this deck list. I hope that this is a deck that you enjoy playing. I hope it's something that brings you some fun while we wait for BT5. This is that type of deck where I don't think it depends on the meta. I think you can just play this type of scenario in any meta as long as it's not extremely blocker heavy. So I would say... even if you're seeing this video in BT5 or beyond, you could probably take the base of this deck and build it around the meta, and it'll still be viable because it's just playing a bunch of Cerberusmon and swinging. So with that being said, I will see you next time for another deck list video. Have a great day.